everyone, and welcome to Inside Barnet. COVID-19 and the consequent lockdown has impacted on everyone. And as lockdown eases, we thought it would be great to kickstart production by catching up with MP Theresa Villiers and Deputy Leader of Barnet Council, Councillor David Longstaff.
It's been a long haul through lockdown for all of us in Barnet. I have been engaging with my constituents. I've had to do it largely through emails and phone calls and Zoom calls, but actually there have been many hundreds who've been in touch with me with queries about how the lockdown operates, many sadly who are really worried about their livelihoods, and I've been trying to provide them with advice on how to access the big package of support that's been made available by the government. It's been the biggest in our country's history, but sadly it's still the case that some people fall in the gaps, and I've been trying to give them a hand, and I've actually raised this issue in Parliament for people like freelancers or people who have only just recently become self-employed to see if more help can be given to them. Of course, now thankfully we're moving onto a stage of easing the lockdown, opening up the economy again, and letting people meet more friends, go to the pub, go to restaurants, go to the shops. And that's something I've been pressing for, because as we've seen the number of cases falling, it was clear that the situation was becoming safer, and therefore I very much welcome the fact that we've recently seen pubs, restaurants and shops reopen, because I believe it's important that we get the economy going so that we protect jobs and livelihoods. Thankfully, millions of people have had their jobs protected by things like the furlough scheme and the self-employed support scheme, but obviously we can't go on forever with those kind of programs, and that means it's essential to try and get back to something which is as close to normal as we can. MPs have had to make all sorts of adjustments to lockdown, just as so many other people have. And I've really welcomed the fact that Parliament's been operating sort of more or less throughout the lockdown, apart from a slightly extended recess. And so that's enabled me to be there raising constituents' concerns, but also for a while we were able to do that through video link. And I tried that, but I tend to prefer to be there if I possibly can. So I welcome the fact that most MPs are back in Parliament now. It is very different because, as is the case with all sorts of workplaces, we're now much more spread out. We can't crowd into the chamber of the House of Commons for Prime Minister's questions in the way that we used to. So it's a quieter, less lively atmosphere, but we're still very much functioning as a Parliament ought to, and I think that was important. I was keen for MPs to be back in Parliament, because when the government's taking crucial decisions about the health emergency and about how we respond to the economic crash which has been caused by the health emergency, we need members of Parliament there holding ministers to account and scrutinising the decisions that they're making.
How are things at the council? Council are been working really hard. The new ways of working, working from home. So the social care teams for adults and children's have been remotely working, and that has gone really well with a high attendance rate of staff working purely from home, getting to meet clients, especially children's services, meeting clients face to face whenever possible, because it's always important to actually meet and see the circumstances rather than just do a catch up on the internet. In terms of the PPE provision, the council has worked tirelessly to get supplies, and they have done. We have supplies across the board in all the care homes. Likewise, we have issues that have arisen for contracts with supplier contracts, because all companies are facing a big issues with obviously COVID and supplies and how they run their businesses. And that's no different for the council. They have contracts with people, suppliers that have to be renegotiated and changes made. And if anything at Barnet, we try to be flexible with how we source and work the council's contract. So it can be, what is best? Is it best in-house? Is it best to have a joint venture with another council? Is it best to have a privately outsourced provision? We do actually try to make sure that whatever we pick best suits the circumstances for the council and the residents. And it's about trying to get the best value we can in a very difficult market. Fly tipping is a big issue. Fly tipping in every borough in London is a big issue. And in Barnet it's no different, and we have within COVID-19 put in special teams that go and pick up when it's reported as soon as possible. I mean, we're standing here very close to St Albans Road, where unfortunately there's a lot of fly tipping, and there we've put in place, and hopefully we'll get them in place, CCTV cameras to pick up those who are just dumping their rubbish in a perfectly nice countryside area. And we've done that in a couple of places in the borough already now, where we've got CCTV cameras that watch for fly tippers in areas we know where they're coming, and the council will prosecute, as they have done before. And when we do get the prosecution, we will hopefully as well be able to, I'm told, be able to charge those dumping their rubbish not just the fine for actually dumping it, but also part of the cost to be recovered for the cost of implementing the CCTV to catch them in the first place.
It's been a very tough situation for many people, particularly of course our wonderful frontline workers in care and in the NHS, really putting their own safety on the line to care for COVID patients. And of course there are also, as I've said, many people whose livelihoods have been either devastated or under severe threat as a result of the COVID shutdown. So we have seen some really difficult times, but I hope that we're starting to come through them. The number of infections is well down. Last time I spoke to Barnet Hospital, they had only 4 COVID positive patients there. So for the moment, we are getting through this. Now is the time to start the economic recovery.
That's it for now on Inside Barnet, but we plan to bring you more interviews from around the borough soon. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on social media to know what we get up to. And we'll see you next time.